Hi there, Josh Bush with Avenue 2 Travel. As you all know, Avenue 2 Travel is located in Villanova, which is just outside of Philadelphia. So Philadelphia is a fantastic city that is just steeped in history and well known for many things. It's known for its art, it's known for its culture, obviously the history, but it's also known for its amazing food scene. And nothing is more synonymous with Philadelphia than the cheesesteak. So since we're all not able to travel anymore, I thought there was a great opportunity for us to bring you a spin on a Philadelphia favorite, the cheesesteak. So what we're going to do today, since we're all locked down, is we're going to make cheesesteak pull-apart bread. So this is kind of a spin on monkey bread, but what we're going to do is we're going to make a little tasty appetizer type of treat. It's very simple for you to make at home, and just a little bit of love from us here in Philadelphia to use at home. All right, welcome everybody to my kitchen. And so we're going to go ahead and get started making the cheesesteak pull-apart bread. And we're going to do a couple little twists on it and things like that. But before we get started, as you can see here, got my proper apron. Make sure that you've got a proper attire. That's really, really important. And since we've got a Guinness apron on, every chef needs a little muse, a little something. So we're going to have, a little Guinness. And again, you've got to get the one with the nitrogen in it. So you've still got that pub-like pour that's there. So this is how we're going to start off cooking. Obviously, you need just a little bit of inspiration. So, look at that. That's, pretty tasty. All right, so we're going to let that settle. So today, the first thing you need to think about is the steak, right? So what we've got is we've got a little sizzle steak is what this is. So you can see some of that beautiful marbling in this. Now this is prime meat. You can get whatever you'd like at whatever butcher works for you, but it's got some really good marbling in it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grill that up or fry that up. And then the other thing is you can see here we've got some onions because we're going to have this wit as you go down to the Philadelphia cheesesteak places. You want it. You name your cheese. So do you want Provelone? Do you want American? Do you want Whiz? And then do you want it wit or without? And that means what kind of onions do you want onions? Do you want it with onions or you want it without fried onions? So we're going to fry these onions up in just a minute here. But let's go ahead and start cooking up the steak first. And we'll go ahead and then do the onions right after that. So let's come over here to the stove and get that started up. And we're going to start frying up this steak. Okay, so we've got our pan. We're heating it up. We're just going to put a little oil in it first to just get it started to start cooking the meat. Because, every cheesesteak needs some good steak. So we'll get the pan, all good and hot and warmed up. And then we'll start, cooking up the steak here. Again, this is a nice little piece of... You hear that sizzle? Oh, that's good. That's the show right there. You gotta get the sizzle on the steak. Now, just a little cheesesteak lore for you that everybody knows about Pat's and Geno's. Pat's and Geno's, don't get me wrong, they're really, really good. But there are some other kind of more lesser-known places where most of the locals go to get their steaks, whether it's Tony Luke's, which is under a bridge, or D'Alessandro's, or Jim's. There's lots of different places. Everybody's very particular about their types of steaks. So you can see here, it's not going to take very long to go ahead and cook this stuff up. But we want to cook the meat first because we're going to actually need it to cool. So we just want to go ahead and brown the meat up. You can see how fast this is cooking. Really, really good stuff. Here, come on in. Come take a look at what this looks like. Hear that sizzle. Oh, that's good stuff. All right, so we're going to go ahead and cook up the meat. I'll show you what this looks like when we're done. Okay, all right, so we've got our meat done. We're gonna go ahead and just sweat the onions, not wet the onions. We're gonna sweat the onions. So we'll just put a little bit of oil in there, and then I've got a little bit of the goodness left over from the steak in there. So we've gone ahead and minced up a nice onion here that we've got. So just just a white onion, nothing too crazy or fancy or what have you. But yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and make that so it's just a little golden brown. Okay, so we've got our onions. They're all done here, so that's looking good. And now what we're going to do is we're going to just continue to prep the steak a little bit, and then we're getting all of our ingredients together. I'll go over all of those and then tell you what we need to do next. So I'm going to show you another little trick that we do with the steak. So we've got our steak here. Again, beautiful, just little sizzle pieces, very thin. You can have your butcher do this. But what we're going to do is, since we're going to be making pull-apart bread, we're going to be stuffing this into dough in just a minute. So we want to cut it, fine, but not so small that you can't taste it. You can't still get a good meaty bite. So one of the easiest things that you can do is, you can just kind of take this, fold this steak up a little bit, and then just use a pair of kitchen shears to go ahead and cut this into just not only strips, but then come back through and then take the strips and cut them into these little fine chunks. Okay, so we've got our prep done. We've got our steak all cooked up. That looks great. Looks fabulous. We've got our onions. Our onions are done now. Those look great. And so now what we got to do is we got to take a break. We need to go ahead and hydrate, particularly in these times. So cheers. All right, back to the action. The second most important part of a cheesesteak, or maybe arguably the first most important part of a cheesesteak, is not just the steak, but what? The cheese. So a lot of people have different types of favorites for cheese. They like Provelone. They're going to like American, maybe some Cheddar. Definitely not Munster. That didn't work out too well for a previous presidential candidate. So stay away from Munster, especially if you're ordering in Philadelphia. No Munster. But one of the, local favorite, Cheese Whiz. Everybody's got to have Cheese Whiz. But since we're doing pull-apart bread, and we're doing cheesesteak pull-apart bread, you don't know who's coming over. Everybody's going to have different tastes. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it a surprise. So we're going to have lots of different bites, and as you're pulling the different bites off, you're not going to know which cheese you're going to get. You might get provolone. You might get... So we got provolone here for you. We've got a little cheddar. We've got cheddar set up because, this just melts really nice, and it's going to, just watch on the cheddar. You can wrinkle your nose a little bit later. I'm sure that you'll put some comments down below about cheddar on a cheesesteak, really. But, trust me, it'll be good. And then, of course, as I mentioned, we've got the Whiz. So what we're going to do is we've got our steak, we've got our cheese, we've got our onions, we've got, a little bit of garlic powder. We're going to go ahead and we're going to combine into 3 different bowls the cheese, the onions, the steak, and the garlic powder. And so that way... again, we're gonna create this dry mixture, and then we're gonna ultimately put that in the dough. So stay tuned. We're gonna go ahead and start mixing these up right now. So we've gone ahead and we've combined all of our ingredients. What we did is we took the steak, we took the cheese, we took a little bit of garlic powder, just enough to taste, maybe about a third of a teaspoon, half a teaspoon or so, and mix them all up. And then, just eyeball it and just make sure that there's a good ratio of, and the onions, we didn't forget the onions. So just eyeball it, make sure there's a good ratio of cheese, steak, onions, and then just a little bit of that garlic powder to go ahead and to taste. And if you like a little bit more cheese, throw some more cheese in. If more onions, put more onions in, whatever you want to do. But we've got these kind of all set up into some bowls. And what we're going to do next is, we're just going to keep this really simple. There's no reason to go crazy. So we've got, some simple, Pillsbury pre-done biscuits. We're going to take these, we're going to flatten these out a little bit, and then we're going to turn them into little gooey dough balls. Because who doesn't like a gooey dough ball, right? So we're going to roll these out, make them flat a little bit, and then we're going to stuff the dough with the mixture that we just made. And then ultimately, we're going to go ahead and we're going to use a normal Bundt pan. So we've got the oven preheated. We've got that hitting up to 350 degrees. And what we're going to do next is we're going to grease this. We got to make sure that you get grease your Bundt pan. I'll show you that in just a second. But we're going to go ahead and open these up and start to flatten some of the dough. So, the fun thing about these is, you get to kind of, peel the paper off and then, it's like champagne. There's champagne and then there's, canned dough. It's all good stuff. So, we're just going to take these out and we're going to cut them into quarters. So we've got, again, little bite-sized pieces that, again, we can flatten and then fill with the dough. So what we've done, again, is just taken very simple, off-the-shelf biscuits, Pillsbury or whatever brand that you want to use, and we've gone and we've cut those up into really tiny little pieces. So what we're going to do is, we're just going to take our thumbs and we're going to kind of work these. We've got our greased Bundt pan here, right? And so we're just going to kind of work these flat a little bit, and then we're going to take our mixture that we worked on before, and just very simply, we're just going to take, just a little bit of handful of mixture. So make sure that, again, you get a little piece of onion, a little bit of steak in there. You've got a good ratio. And then what you're going to want to do is just kind of pinch the edges together and fold this up into this little doughy bite of cheesy onion steak goodness. And then what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and drop it in the pan. So this is kind of the time-consuming part of this whole thing. But again, as you just kind of take these, flatten them out, take a good piece of some of the mixture, and then just wrap the dough around it and pinch it tight so that you've got, again, a little yummy ball of yummy goodness. So we've just gone ahead and done the most tedious part of this whole project, but I assure you it's still pretty easy. So what we've done is we've made little balls of each of the mixtures that we had set out with each of the different cheese types. So we've got provolone, we've got cheddar, we've got the cheese whiz, all just kind of mixed up in here and randomized. And now what we're going to do is we're going to put that into our well-greased Bundt pan. And again, we've got the oven all preheated. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of take the balls kind of one at a time and just arrange them in the bottom of the pan. And then as we have a layer of them, we still have some provolone that's mixed or minced over here, and we've got some extra cheddar left over. And so as we kind of create a layer within the Bundt pan, we're going to put just a little bit of cheese in there too, just to give it a little extra gooiness and a little extra yumminess. And again, as you're pulling these out from one bowl to another, just kind of make sure that they're sealed and maybe give them a little roll or two. But what we're doing is, again, just randomizing the balls all in the bottom of the Bundt pan. Okay, so we've got a good layer here in the pan. So now we're just going to take a little bit of this cheese and sprinkle it around and create a little layer, on the inside, just to add a little bit of glue, more or less, for this just to all stick together. And again, we're just going to then add in more of our wonderful, yummy, gooey dough balls full of steak, onions, and cheese. And it'll just be yummy deliciousness. Just about done. Gone ahead and layered the balls in a random pattern in the inside of this. So this is all going to grow up and expand and just be, again, some amazing, yummy little pull-apart bites that we'll be able to eat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just take a little bit of extra of cheddar cheese, because that always bakes really well. And we're just going to kind of, cover the top of this just so that we've got, a little bit extra of cheese across the top. And again, that's going to fall down into all the little nooks and crannies. And remember, we also did, some layering in the meantime, so there's more cheese. Because, who doesn't like cheese? Everybody needs cheese. Got to make sure that there's some good protein in here. So you can see I've got a nice little layer here all around the top. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to pop that in the oven. We're going to let it bake for about 50 minutes, maybe an hour or so. We'll check on it. We're going to take a toothpick, make sure that comes out clean. And then we're going to have something really delicious for you to eat. All right, here we go. We're going to go ahead and put this in the oven. I think I said 350 before, but I really meant 325. So that'll be in the... all the ingredients and the instructions will be in the show notes down below. But we've got that cooking in there. We're going to have that go for about 50 minutes. Set timer for 50 minutes. Timer's done. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at it and see what we've got in here. Oh yeah, look at that goodness. Wow, amazing. Okay, all right. Go ahead, turn that oven off. We're gonna let that sit for a little bit, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna put a plate on it, and we're gonna turn it over. Maybe we should go ahead and just try that now. So just do that. And gonna get another oven mitt. Everybody needs a cat oven mitt, don't they? Yeah. Dog people out there, dogs are overrated. Okay, so we've loosened the bread up. We're gonna go ahead and take a look and see what we found. Oh yeah, look at that. Absolutely amazing. Look, we've got here beautiful, just kind of cheesesteak bread, pull apart. This looks absolutely fantastic. Got a little ranch dressing here just because, we need just a few more calories to add to this decadentness here. But, oh wow. Look at that. Look at that gooiness. Yum. Oh, look. Oh, that's fantastic. That's really, really good. And again, that was a Whiz bite. Oh, provolone. And you can taste the seasoning and the onions. Oh, the onions make it. Absolutely amazing. So this is Philadelphia cheesesteak, pull-apart bread with onions.
There's nothing better than that. So from our house, from our city, from our town to yours, city of brotherly love, city of cheesesteaks, we'll see you next time.